You're going to need a writing utensil out, pencil, pen, whichever you want to use. And we're going to start off with our warm-up. And the warm-up is what treaty ended World War I? And little bonus point if you can describe some of the rules that were within that treaty. You already have an answer? Do you have an answer? Okay, go. Versailles? Yeah. Does anyone happen to know some of the rulings in it? If it's not, it's okay because we're going to talk about it. No? Okay. Okay, so like I said earlier, the restrictions placed on Germany were very harsh and they left the country itself in economic ruins. So people were starving in the streets and the government was in complete chaos. It was a terrible time to be alive. And then Adolf Hitler. Does anyone know, besides what's on the screen, prior background knowledge about him that you'd like to share? Yes. Yes. Gavin.
He is a male.
A what?
A male.
Yeah. Great answer. Let's go with both of y'all in the back.
He originally wanted to be a painter.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yes, and that was called the Holocaust. Yeah. Did you have your hand raised? No? Okay. Yes, Abraham.
He has a great hairstyle.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty serious mustache work too. But Adolf Hitler was the leader of the Nazi Party, or also known as the Führer, which is a German word for leader or dictator, and he came to power in 1934. How he was able to come to power was he told the Germans that he could rebuild their country, because remember how we said that Germany was in economic ruins and that life was just really bad. So he promised them, I'm going to rebuild our economy, I'm going to get you jobs, you're going to have food on your table, life is going to be amazing again. And so people believed him and elected him as their leader. Yes?
Hitler, is that he fought in World War I?
He did.
So he was really sad that they lost.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a great answer. And that patriotic belief and pride led to him wanting to rebuild Germany. Yes.
He's crazy?
I mean, yeah, he did a lot of bad things. All right. Yes.
Are they talking about the Jewish people? The Nazis the Jewish people?
Yes, he did put a lot of Jewish people in the concentration camps. All right. So before we move on to the next slide, there should be a page on one of y'all's desk that says German citizens. And if you have that, can you read it? Yes.
I beg of you to help my family. We are starving here. My neighbors are starving. The neighbors are starving. I lost my job and can't seem to find another one. Germany is not the same that it used to be. Help this country return to its great state full of strength and pride.
Awesome. Thank you. Was everyone able to hear that? No? Okay, I'm going to reread it, if you don't mind. But you did a really great job. So this was from the point of view of a German citizen. It said, please, Führer, I beg of you to help my family. We are starving here. My neighbors are starving here, and their neighbors are starving as well. I lost my job and can't seem to find another one. Germany is not the same that it used to be. Help this country return to its great state full of strength and pride. So that was just a little dialogue section from the point of view of a German citizen explaining why they really needed someone to come in and change things for them, which Adolf Hitler was able to do. So the second reason we got into World War II was appeasement, and the kid-friendly word is to make peace with. So can everyone put a peace sign in the air? I just kind of tap your chest and go, appeasement. That's how you can remember the word. So every time I say it throughout the slide, just kind of remember that. Maybe even do it along with me so I'm not the only one doing it. But appeasement is, like it says, to make peace with. So before we get into that, though, the powers in the war were the Allies versus the Axis. The Allies were Britain, France, Russia, U.S., and China. And the Axis powers were Germany, Italy, and Japan. So those were like the two sides. And if you want to think of like a Marvel movie, like, what was the one where, well, that one, the one, Civil War. So like the Allies, you could say, was like Iron Man's team, and the Axis was Captain America's team, if you want to think of it like that. So the Axis powers, Japan wanted to grow their empire in order to gain new resources because they were an island and their population was growing rapidly, that they didn't have enough resources to provide for the new people. So they thought in order to get those resources, we need to invade other countries. So they invaded China and another place. And then Italy also invaded Ethiopia in 1935. So we're going to get into Germany in a second, but the main goal of the Axis powers was to gain lots of land, and that's what kind of made the Europeans upset. Did you have a question? Okay. Were they what? Oh, you don't have to write that down. Oh, wait. Actually, I mean, you can if you want. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the Allies, those were various nations in Europe, and they did not want another war, so they allowed other countries like Germany and Italy to take over other nations and build up their armies. They thought by doing this, they would be keeping the peace through appeasement. They believed if they tried to stop Hitler, that would make him angry and he would want to start another war. So just like the Axis powers in Germany, the Allies were also pretty hit hard after World War I. A lot of those nations were dealing with the Great Depression, where there's not a lot of money and people were starving on the streets. And so they realized we don't really have the funds to back up an army right now, let alone supply the needs of our own people in our country. So getting into a war is probably not the best thing to do right now. Therefore, we're kind of going to let Hitler do what he wants and pray that he doesn't get too aggressive. So, appeasement. The policy of appeasement backfired and made Hitler bolder. So what he did was he was able to build up his army because no one was telling him he couldn't do that. And with that improved army, Hitler took over Czechoslovakia in 1939. Britain and France let Hitler take I'm going to call it the Czech for short, in the Munich Agreement. Yes. Okay. So, let's see. Is everyone good? Okay. So this is Germany before 1939. All the brown stuff is Germany. Then after they invaded the Czech, they only took a portion of it, not the whole thing. So this is the portion that they took. And then they got Austria and this island. And then later you're going to find out they got Poland, which is right here. So they were able to get all of those land because no one was stopping them. Okay, so before we move on to that, there should be a sheet on someone's desk, I think over here, that says Allied Powers. Yes, do you have it? Let's see. Yes, okay. So, we're going to read that one. And then, that's Winston Churchill. Yeah, you're going to read the other one. So, would you please start us off?
In the Treaty of Versailles, we stated that all the German land won in World War I must be taken away. So why are we letting Germany and now Japan and Italy take land that does not belong to them? First, he took over Austria and now Czechoslovakia. They are growing bigger and bigger by the day. I'm going to point into this.
Winston Churchill? Oh, wait, that's the second one. I'm sorry. I'm looking for one. There you go. Can you read that? You'll be the next one. I'm sorry.
What I say, I agree that they think that this was all the way they're making money right now, and I am totally afraid that if we listen, another war makes like this, meaning another war is the last thing any of us need. Both of our countries will be recovering from the fourth war. I say we simply let them have this time to keep the peace. I guess you're right, but what will we do if they invade another country?
And then Winston Churchill said, well, I say we let Hitler have the check, but if he invades another country, then I suppose we will have no other choice but to go to war. We shall call this the Munich Agreement. So the two people that were talking in this was the French Prime Minister at the time, Eduardo, and then he was speaking with the British Prime Minister, which was Winston Churchill, and they were discussing the Munich Agreement. So Eduardo was very against us letting Germany continue to invade countries, but Winston Churchill said, you know what, we kind of have to let them do this. Like I said earlier, we're both weak right now, so if we start a war, things probably won't end too well for us. However, though, they came to the agreement that if Hitler invaded another country, then unfortunately we would have no choice but to go to war, which leads us to our third point, the invasion of Poland. So on September 1st, 1939, German troops invaded Poland. Germany refused to stop the invasion, so Britain and France had no choice but to declare war on Germany because that wasn't a part of the deal, thus starting World War II. So has someone ever made a promise to you? Raise your hand. And have they ever broken it? How did that make you feel? Yeah, it sucks, right? So that's how Britain and France felt. They were like, hey, we made a deal in the Munich Agreement that you wouldn't invade another country, yet you did. So we have to start a war. So who has the very last script sheet? James had the first part. I think I was supposed to have the second one, actually. So, you want to start reading, and then I'll read the second part?
I thought we had a deal. Why did you go back on your word? You promised us that you wouldn't invade another country, yet you invaded Poland.
Okay. And so that was Winston Churchill speaking on behalf of the Allied powers. And now I'm going to speak on behalf of the Axis powers / Adolf Hitler. I am sorry, but I had to do what was right for my country. This country has suffered from a Great Depression financially and emotionally. People were starving, the economy was in a mess, and our government was in shambles. Our nation's pride was destroyed. However, I was able to regain the hope and trust of the German people. I gave them something to believe in. All I've done is simply get land back that was once ours. Tell me, is there something wrong in that?
Is there something wrong with that? Of course there is something wrong in that. You went back on your word. You have put us in a position. Now we have no choice but to declare war on them.
So yes, thank you. So that whole conversation was between, like I said, the Allied powers, Winston Churchill, and the Axis powers, Adolf Hitler, and they were discussing how Hitler violated the deal that they made in the Munich Agreement. And so Winston Churchill was saying that we have no choice but to go into war now. And so just to recap it all, and it should be the last bullet point, I believe. Yes. The three main reasons World War II got started was, one, Germany's financial and political state. So remember, they were in economic ruins. Appeasement. The Allied powers tried to make peace with Germany by allowing them to continue to invade other countries. However, the third reason, invasion of Poland, was the last straw. Germany had gone too far, and now they had no choice but to claim war on them. Are we good with this slide? Okay. So your cool down activity, we're actually going to do in your table groups. You're going to make a little news article like the one in the picture. and my example, which I'll leave up here on the desk so you can see. But you're going to create a news headline for the events covered in class today. So an example would be, breaking news, Britain has declared war on Germany because, and then you and your table group can figure out what you want to say to go under that. And if you want, you can draw little sub-article titles. And please include a picture as well. And then we're going to share it all together towards the end of class, like the last 5 minutes or so. Are there any questions with that? All right.
Britain is part of
The Allied powers.
She knew. They declared war on Germany because Germany attacked another country.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good answer. I like that. Then make sure you guys include a picture.
What was your favorite subject when you were a kid?
History. What's yours?
Math.
Oh, really? That's my least favorite.
A lot of people say they hate math.
It's hard for me. But I guess it's easy for you. How's history? Really? Okay.
My leg feels bloody.
You what?
My leg feels bloody.
What is that?
I'm saying that my leg feels bloody.
Oh, well, is it?
No, it doesn't look bloody.
No. What happened to it, though?
I played baseball last night.
Ooh.
And I slid in the grass.
No. Do you have any new Rubik's Cubes?
What?
Do you have a new Rubik's Cube?
Yes. This one.
Ooh.
And
It's already done. Wow.
this one.
Okay, I feel like I've seen that one, but I don't think I've seen this one.
You've seen a different version of this, and I just got this one. But you've seen a different one.
Okay. That's cool.
And then I have a lot in here. 3x3.
Ooh.
That's fun. 2x2.
Okay.
I think this is my 5x5.
Ah.
Sure. 4x4.
Oh my God, so many. How do they all fit in your backpack?
I don't know. I think that's all that I have.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Crazy. 1, 2, 3, waterfall. Awesome. Okay. Does a particular group want to share first? And it's okay if you're not all the way done, but we're going to just go with it because we're running out of time. What group would like to go first? Let's start with y'all. That's good. A realistic thing. I like that.
So we just drew Winston Churchill over a portrait. Yeah, and then the name of the newspaper is called Germany Invades Poland. And then our caption for the picture is Britain declares war on Germany.
Love it.
I accidentally forgot to put the name.
Pass it around. Do you guys want to go next?